Some say luxuries aren't necessary because a Timex can fill the time just as well as a Panerai, and I can't argue with that. But if a watch's intended purpose is to tell the time and a car's is to get you from point A to point B, why are people willing to pay so much more for cars that perform the same purpose? Could it be an appeal to emotion, added comfort, or simply because they can? Or maybe all of the above? But what if you could have a taste of luxury without breaking the bank? Introducing the Cherry Tiggo Luxury EX. When it comes to the exterior, since looks are subjective, I'll let you guys decide whether or not you like it, and you can indicate that on the comment section. But what I do want to discuss would be in terms of fit and finish and build quality. And looking around the Cherry Tiggo, you can see that there are hardly any panel gaps, and the paint finish is pretty good because there's hardly any orange peel. Other notable features and characteristics of the Cherry Tiggo 8 Luxury EX are LED headlamps and standalone DRLs, 18-inch rims, power folding heated mirrors, and LED tail lamps that I think look quite gorgeous. The Tiggo has subtle character lines and chrome touches along the side to give it more character. I know not everyone is a fan of chrome, but that can be easily addressed. The best part about the Tiggo 8's exterior is that it doesn't try to mimic anything else, which gives it a distinct look. Stepping inside this crossover won't require you to do anything as primitive as reaching for your keys. Simply place your hand on the door handle and voila, you can step right in. One look at this interior and it'll knock your socks off. The interior is where Cherry really shines. The materials are mostly soft touch, and there's a good mix of luxurious touches such as stitching that runs across the dashboard and aluminum-like accents. All switches feel sturdy and are nice to the touch. The instrument cluster is a 7-inch LCD, which may seem overwhelming at first, especially to a tito like me. The infotainment comes in the form of this huge 10.25-inch touchscreen. Here you can pair your phone, though it doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The Tiggo 8 has heaps of features, such as dual zone climate control, which you can adjust via the touchscreen or center console. It has a 360 camera, which turns on while turning and backing up. It even comes with ambient lighting and heated seats. All the seats are made of faux leather, which is made by the same brand that supplies seat materials for Jaguar and Land Rover. Only the driver's seat is power adjustable. Stepping inside the second row, you will find that there is more than enough room regardless of how you adjust the seats. You can even recline the seat back to chill out even more. Getting in the third row is doable even for an unfit middle-aged guy. And while the third row certainly isn't the roomiest place to sit, someone who is borderline obese will certainly fit. And the best part about it is it doesn't have to do anything radical or offensive to be noticed. It's actually quite simple and yet so appealing. So under the hood, we have a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, which has 145 horsepower and 210 Newton meters of torque. Now, we can talk turkey all day about its performance, but to really put her through her paces, let's just take her out for a drive. But before we do that, I'm going to let her cool up first because it's been under the sun pretty much the whole day. Now that the interior's had a chance to cool off, I think it's time to take her out. But first, let's start her up. Let's see you do that with a Rolex. So a lot of people are going to look at the spec sheet, and once they see 145 horsepower, they may think, well, that's not too much. But you need to ask yourself, how much horsepower do you really need? Hypothetically, let's say this car had 200 horsepower. Would you really use all 200 horsepowers when driving in the city? As a matter of fact, when you're driving in the city, what really matters would be your torque figures. And this has 210 Newton meters of torque. And that comes in handy when you're overtaking or in terms of how quick the car responds to your inputs. So let me demonstrate that here. Cruising at around 30 kilometers an hour. And then the moment you floor it, the response is instantaneous. And I'm still on eco mode. When you are on eco mode though, it takes a while for the car to build momentum, especially when you're coming from a dead spot off the line. But what makes up for that is the fact that this car has a DCT. And DCTs are known for how quick they are to shift and how seamless they shift. Okay, so just to give you guys a feel of the DCT, I've put it into manual mode. It's currently on sport mode. Let's see how quick it shifts up the gears, considering that this is a dual clutch. Pretty good. The only thing is that if you want to drive at 10/10 and take it all the way up to the rev limit, the tachometer isn't that visible. Or maybe I'm just not that used to it yet, considering I'm kind of old school. And I'm more used to the analog tachometers. But this is pretty fine. I guess to get around that, just leave it on drive and let the car do it. Now power starts to come in the middle to the tail end of the rev range, which is not really a bad thing. But if you're looking for that instant response when you're driving slowly, there will be a little bit of turbo lag before you start to feel the power. So as far as this car steering is concerned, it's extremely light. Let me demonstrate. We're at a standstill and I can move the steering wheel with extreme ease. And to some, that may come as a disadvantage because when your steering is ultralight, sometimes you can't tell where the wheels are pointing and it feels so artificial. But that's not the case here because the steering ratio is pretty quick for a vehicle in this class. And that still gives you an indication where the wheels are pointing. And more importantly, the car responds quite adequately to your steering inputs. Overall, in terms of comfort and driving ease, this is a joy to drive. I mean, you can take this on long trips without getting tired because the seats are comfortable, the visibility is good, you don't have to keep moving around to check for blind spots. And a really neat feature is that when you take a turn, the 360 camera comes in really handy because it shows a view of your surroundings depending on whether you're turning left or right. And that's a really neat feature to have. Okay, so let's see how well this thing accelerates. That wasn't too bad. I actually had the car on drive and it took it all the way to the rev limit. And the shifts were, again, seamless. Now, the acceleration wasn't exactly mind-blowing, but trust me, for city driving and a car in this class, it is more than enough. As far as ride comfort is concerned, the suspension tuning of this is more on the stiff side, but that's not to say that it's jarring. As a matter of fact, it's quite compliant. The only indication that it is on the stiff side is the fact that when you turn corners at speed, there really isn't any body roll. Even if this is a crossover and has relatively higher ground clearance, it still feels extremely planted on the road. And you can still take corners with extreme confidence. It doesn't feel like the car's gonna tip over, although my camera gear did. So we're about to approach a steep incline, and if there's not much traffic behind me, it might be a good time to demonstrate the hill launch assist feature. So let's see. All right, so I'm gonna come to a complete stop here. As you can see, this is an inclined road. Now I'm gonna let go of the brake and the car isn't moving back. It takes about 2 to 3 seconds before it actually moves back, which is more than enough time for you to step on the gas to get along your way. So that's a handy feature for newbie drivers, or maybe even some tenured ones. Let's see what this baby can do. Okay, that isn't bad at all. There was a slight curve there as I was accelerating, and the car felt very planted. So to sum it up, I am extremely impressed with the driving experience here. The Tiggo 8 Luxury EX is priced at 1,340,000 pesos. And with everything that comes with this car, that is definitely a bang for your buck. In terms of features, ride comfort, the driving experience, you really can't complain. You'd have to be absolutely nitpicky to find fault with this vehicle. But I guess the biggest elephant in the room is the fact that this car is made in China. And if the perceived quality isn't enough to put you at ease, maybe its 5-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty will. As a matter of fact, the engine even comes with a 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. Now, if that isn't enough to put you at ease, I really don't know what will.